Hey gang, welcome back to Inverted Pursuits Laboratory. We are here today with the Speed Queen build. I've been slowly working on it after my post asking guys some questions on like best ways to build a rocket intended to go over Mach 1. Most of you said that everything I was doing was fine. I didn't need to take some of the considerations I was thinking. So I'm going to be looking to save as much weight as possible and push this thing as fast as I can. So right now where we're at, I have the fillets done, and I'm getting ready to do, well, this is hard to do one-handed, but I'm getting ready to do my tip-to-tip layups. So what I'm going to do is show you guys how I go about doing a tip-to-tip on my rockets and kind of walk you through that process that I take. I've been doing tip-to-tips on rockets. Well, I've been doing composite layups since I was in college, so I'm fairly familiar with them. My way of doing tip-to-tips is admittedly a little different than most people's, just because, well, we all are a little picky in our own rights and do things our way. But let's go ahead and get this tape off here, and then we'll get started on prepping the surface for our composite layup. I did, oh, on a side note, I did do a test layup here. I don't know if you can tell, but there's fiberglass weave epoxy to here, and it adhered beautifully. It sands beautifully, so I have done a test piece to prove it will work. I did that with some of the excess epoxy from working on Speed Queen here, but let's get the tape off and get going. Alright, so I've gone ahead and roughed everything here up, just taking sandpaper to it to rough it up. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and take our fiberglass, and we're going to start figuring out how big of a piece we need to go on the fins here. So we want it to come all the way to the bottom, probably a little over, and we want to come a good bit over the top. So we just kind of start to lay out, like there's a good point there, good point there, and fiberglass has some really cool tricks with it. Actually, I'm not going to do that because I don't want to mess it up. And we're kind of doing just some rough guesses initially here. So we're going to cut it a little long. So, got our, whoa, I think it goes the other way. Does it go the other way? Yep, so that's the way I like it, right there. So it comes a good bit over the top. You can see where the fins end. It comes down to the bottom nicely, and it leaves me plenty of overlap. So I want, it'll end up being 6 pieces exactly like this. So I'm going to go ahead and cut out 6 of these. I'll be putting 2 layers on, so let's get to it. So first thing I'm doing is I'm just taking, and I'm just going to lather epoxy onto the whole thing where the fiberglass is going. And then I'm going to just simply take my fiberglass and start working it into the appropriate position. At this point, I'll go ahead and start spreading. So all I'm really doing is pushing the fiberglass into the epoxy I've laid on here. And pushing just a little bit of excess from my brush in there, as I don't want too much epoxy, but I need to make sure I do in fact wet the whole thing, because too much epoxy just adds weight. Alright, so here we are. The layup is dry. There are a couple areas in particular right here that delaminated a bit from my fin. Not the biggest deal, but we're going to go ahead and start cutting all this off and cleaning up the edges with sandpaper, and I'll show you what it looks like once all that's done. Alright gang, so here is where we are at. I have trimmed this all down. As you can kind of tell, there's a texture there that is the fiberglass that's different from here. It's easier to see if this was carbon fiber on fiberglass, but I've cleaned it all up. You can see where it begins and ends pretty easily. A little starker white lines. I've got a couple areas here right at the fin transition I'm going to want to clean up. And so we're going to sit down and work in on that. Haven't quite decided whether I want to do a secondary layup on these parts or if I want to go ahead and leave them as they are. For the speed I'm going, it shouldn't be remotely an issue. If I were to be going faster, I definitely would want to do a layup down this edge, which I may just choose to do on future rockets and show how a edge layup is done. But for now, actually, yeah, we're gonna go ahead and call this video for now. But this is how you do a tip to tip and then clean it up. So as you can tell, the fiberglass runs from one tip to the other tip of the fin on each fin. Now they don't connect between the fins. You can do that if you want. I don't think it's necessary for what I'm doing, and it heavily depends on your situation and what you're wanting to do. An easy way to make sure that connection happens is to do an edge layup on the fin here, but we're not going to do that today. So if you got any questions, please leave them in the comments below and I will be sure to get back to you. Or look into it for a future video. So thanks for watching, gang.